Well, R.I.P. Mike White. Oh, geez. You could not have asked for a more uncompetitive game. This was not good. So the Jets wind up losing to the Buffalo Bills 45-17. The Jets defense has given up 175 points over the course of the last 4 weeks. And that's not a recipe for winning games. Mike White ends his day 24 of 44, 251 yards and 4 interceptions. Really could have had a few more. There were a few ill-advised passes in there as well. But, man, really not good. Not fun to watch. Not as frustrating, I guess, as the as the New England game for me, I guess. When I saw Buffalo lose to Jacksonville last week, I had a hunch that they were just going to come out and punch us in the mouth, like they did to the Dolphins after losing to the Steelers week 1. Man, not not ideal. All right, so let's go positives. Number one positive from today, Zach Wilson. He's having himself a good day. Definitely, I think eases maybe some of our potential locker room confusion. There was a little part of me that was thinking we could potentially have a Carson Wentz, Nick Foles locker room conundrum on our hands. I think after today's game, I'd be pretty surprised if that wound up being any kind of an issue. I still think that White or Flacco starts next week. I mean, they had Wilson warming up beforehand, so maybe he's good to go and he just winds up starting. But I thought the Jets might want to start Wilson on the road against the Texans next 2 weeks from now. So we'll see who winds up being named the starter then. I'd love to see Wilson out there. I do think the offense is better. Obviously, just giving up the interceptions and everything that we did, not ideal. The offensive line had a bunch of confusion all day. Greg Van Roten, McGovern, and AVT both had a rough go of it earlier in this game. Yeah, not good. Yeah, I hate to say I'm looking forward to the draft, but I'm hoping there's like 51 other Michael Carters that we can draft, because Michael Carter 2 and Michael Carter 1, those two guys look like they're actually playing and playing hard. Same with Elijah Moore. A little frustrated maybe with Corey Davis. The fumble before the end of the half was definitely disappointing, but he winds up, ending on a pretty solid stat line. 5 receptions, 93 yards. A lot of that was in garbage time. Look, we've spent a lot of our assets, a lot of our premium assets the last 2 off seasons on offense. First, second round picks. So 3 first round picks, 2 second round picks, all on offense. Money on offense. You're talking, across the offensive line, we've tried to spend money. You bring in Corey Davis, you bring in Keelan Cole. You've brought in a lot and emphasized the offense a lot the last 2 years. And it's good, because I think that's what we've needed to do. But we've definitely kind of missed the boat a bit on the defensive side of the ball. I guess that's it's, as Jet fans, we drafted first round defensive players like every year for like 15 years or whatever it was. It was something silly. So I guess it's weird to kind of complain about that. The only premium assets we put into defense were in LaMarcus Joyner and Carl Lawson, both of which out for the year with season-ending injuries. I guess you could throw Curry in that mix as well, Vinny Curry. But yeah, the Jets really haven't spent a whole lot on defense, and it's really showing. We have the youngest team in the NFL by a wide margin. Like, I think it's like some close to 300 snaps, I think is what the stat was. And that's just going to be what you're going to get. I think this offseason is going to be about getting a center or guard. If you get center, then maybe you kick McGovern over to guard, and that kind of solves maybe, hopefully, 2 positions in one shot, and then maybe you bring back either Fant or Moses as right tackle, or maybe you look for some type of replacement there. But I would like to see defense heavily emphasized this offseason for sure. First round pick, I think a lot of us would like to see Thibodeau, the edge rusher from Oregon. I think we really like Carl Lawson. You got to hope that he comes back full strength, but just putting a lot of emphasis on that front line and getting faster linebackers. Man, we are slow. Like I like Mosley, but Mosley as your best linebacker, and then like no one for a country mile. Like Jared Davis is really bad. It's like not very good. I was really hoping we'd get more out of him, having him back in the lineup, but it just really hasn't come to fruition. Secondary wise, it bugs the heck out of me that Bryce Hall stays on the one side of the field. And I don't know if that's a defensive philosophy or if Hall, for some reason, just is not very good at the other side of the field. But like when you have Diggs constantly on your third string corner in Guidry, you're just asking for like a bad time. And it didn't seem like there was any sort of thought to change that up. So I guess that's on the coaching staff. Really not looking good. Look, I'm not looking for heads to roll by any means, but it's just we're a young team, we're inexperienced, we shoot ourselves in the foot with penalties. Look, the refs didn't help either. It got me really irritated. The 2 hits on White without the penalty calls, because it was like pretty blatant, like after the whistle had blown. And I feel like if our team name was the Patriots or we had a flashy quarterback in there, I think maybe you probably get those flags. Unfortunately, the Jets haven't, I guess, earned those flags. Really not good. Kyle drops in with super chat. Thank you, Kyle. He says 2 positives. 1, we'll have a high draft pick. 2, Seattle has a hard schedule, and I don't see them doing better than 9-8. Hopefully, the Packers can wind up pulling out a victory against them today. I'd really like to see their pick drop a little bit lower. As of recording this right now, let me hop over to Tankathon. I know the Lions were in overtime. I guess they still are. Jets are sitting at the 3rd pick. If Detroit wins, they go to 1-8. Obviously, them and Houston would be tied there. Houston would actually own the 1st pick, and we would still have the 3rd because we have the 2 wins. But we do play the Texans, and there's going to be some options potentially there for a high draft pick. And watching this team, it's hard to see us not picking within the top 5. So we're going to be able to get a key player at a position of need for sure. Seattle, as it stands right now, is sitting at 11 with Miami, Seattle, well, I guess San Francisco, Seattle, and Minnesota. San Francisco's pick is actually owned by Miami at number 10. But all 3 of those teams are tied right there at 3 and 5. Hope for 2 top 10 picks because we need the talent. That's all I could say. Seattle, I don't see them making the playoffs. So I think we'll be all right in that capacity. Mumtaz, thank you so much for the super chat. Mumtaz says we need to spend 2 picks from the first 2 rounds on O-line or we won't get better. Corey Davis has bad play in almost all games. We need to invest in linebackers also. 2 picks from the first 2 rounds on offensive line. So I think all of us Jet fans are probably on board with Linderbaum as one of those first round picks. And I think most of us would like that to be the Seattle pick because I think you could get a premier edge rusher with our first round pick. That said, if we wind up with like the first pick, I wouldn't be opposed to trading down and just getting whatever you can. Hopefully a quarterback shoots up the board because we need a lot of help. We really do. In terms of offensive line, you definitely need center. You definitely need right guard. You definitely need right tackle. I don't know if that has to be all draft related, but I would be fine if you went, say right tackle, center, and then maybe work with McGovern at guard for a year. And then maybe take a guard later in one of like the 4th, 5th rounds or something like that. Or maybe look at free agency. Sheriff is going to be a free agent after this year. I don't know what happened to him. I think did he get hurt? I think he got hurt. I could be wrong. But yeah, look, Jets need to fix the right side. The interior and right side of that offensive line has been a problem. Corey Davis is interesting because he gets open a lot. He's definitely open, but there's times where it's just like, hold on to the ball, dude. That's kind of where I'm at. I don't think he's a problem. I think he's absolutely part of the solution. I think him, Elijah Moore are both long-term options for the Jets at wide receiver. Michael Carter is legit at running back. I have no issues with him. Look, Jets need to get a tight end and got to figure out the other wide receiver position. I like Keelan Cole a lot. I would be fine rolling with him if they decide to do that after the season. Him and Crowder are both up on contracts after the year, so it'll be interesting. I don't know. I don't think Corey Davis is in any real trouble. He's got 2 more years on his contract anyway. We need to invest in linebackers also. I definitely agree. Linebackers, we are so slow. And it feels like this has been a problem for like a long time. Like since we had David Harris. And David Harris was a great linebacker for us, but he was just incredibly slow in coverage. And I don't know. I know we drafted, who is the guy we got? Now I'm losing my mind. Who's the Ohio State linebacker we drafted the year of the Wentz Goff draft? The one we took 20. Why am I forgetting it? Well, I'm forgetting his name because he wasn't very good, but that was the attempt, the swing at trying to get a fast linebacker. And the chat will let me know who it is offhand. Darren Lee, there it is. That's the name. Darren Lee. Dominic got it. Really, really not good. Fast sideline to sideline, but not a good tackler, not good coverage. Just Jets got to fix their linebacking core. I still think CJ Mosley, that signing itself was one of the worst signings that we've had in a while. And based on how everything's going, I would like to see Mosley back because we have so many holes. I think losing a veteran is probably not a great way to proceed in the offseason. But given his contract size, it wouldn't shock me if they just decided to move on from him at all. Bruce says Quincy Williams hits hard, but can't cover. Yeah, that's kind of our issue with all our linebackers. Like Jared Davis doesn't seem like he could do a whole lot of anything. Quincy Williams, awesome against the run, and he's like a heat-seeking missile, but terrible in coverage as well. And then Mosley almost had that interception, almost had that pick. It would have been a really tough catch. That was like, because he's going the one way, he's like contorting his body the other way to try and get it. But by and large, our linebackers, not very good. Our defensive line, we got a few sacks. I don't know what it wound up being. Wilson, our safety, he's got to be our 4th or 5th string safety at this point. I forget what we're on. He had a awesome shot on Josh Allen. But when you watch the hit, Allen's clearly not looking. The ball is nice and vulnerable, and he puts his head down and hits him square in the chest, which is like cool. But like, dude, like whack the ball, like hit the ball as hard as possible. Just knock it out. There's no way he's holding on to the ball where if someone put his fist on that, it wasn't going to come out. So I don't know. There's certain things like that irk me. And then you see why he's a backup safety. He's getting turned around on the Diggs play. He's leaving him wide open. Miscommunications left and right. Not good. Not a good showing from our defense overall. What else are you guys talking about over here? Gitmo says defense is paying the price for all the time spent on the field from earlier this season. Thanks, LaFraud. That's certainly an issue for sure with the offense not keeping the ball, getting first downs, things like that, not scoring any points. You're putting your defense behind the 8 ball immediately. I will say I don't think LaFleur has been the issue the last few weeks. I've actually been all right with his play calling. I thought the Jets were in some pretty good positions. It's the penalties. I got to look it up. How many penalties did we have? The Jets had 9 penalties for 69 yards. So yardage-wise, not like the worst. Like definitely not good when you spot a team like Buffalo close to 70 yards. But it's all the first downs and long first downs and second downs and third downs that you're putting yourself in. You're just digging yourself a hole. Jets actually won time of possession today. Almost had 33 minutes of it with the Bills having 27. And you wouldn't have thought it because they just destroyed us, kicked our teeth in. Weird. I don't know what the answer is. Vinny says, why wasn't Carter not on Diggs? Why wasn't Carter on Diggs? Double negative there. So why wasn't Carter on Diggs? I I think Carter or Hall, either one of them could have been on him. I don't understand why you have Guidry on him like the entire day. That doesn't make any sense. Let's see. Manny Roman says, not LaFleur. We don't have the talent on offense and certainly don't execute when we need to. I don't think we don't have the offense. I think we have the talent on offense. I think the center and right guard have been a serious hamstring for this team the last 2 seasons. I mean, you could go further back than that too, but definitely the last 2 years. Weapon-wise, receivers, running backs, I feel like we're fine. Tight ends, obviously we don't really have any, but so there's some talent you're going to have to add to the offensive side for sure. But the defense giving up 175 points like that, there's no way for me to spin that in terms of like defense being on the field too too long. It's ugly. It is ugly. Randon Howell says, I no longer have any answers. Just in absolute awe at our lack of competitiveness. Yeah, like you would think. Let's not blow it too far out of proportion. This is like a team we all thought the Bills could be in the Super Bowl this year. Could have been in the Super Bowl last year. Like this is a really, really good team. They returned all their starters and like added more talent. Like this is a really, really good team. Number 1 defense going against the number 32 defense on our side. Like, let's not make a mistake here. The Jets are severely outgunned when talking about the Bills. But the lack of competitiveness overall, like I didn't feel like the Patriots were as good as they are. I mean, maybe I'm wrong in that. Maybe they are way better. I was watching a little bit of their game. Mac Jones looks pretty good. But man, it's like I'm right there with you. I don't understand why we're so uncompetitive. With a team this young, you want to see guys like really flying around and trying to make plays. And I'm not going to say the effort isn't there, but it feels like we're severely outgunned and we're playing like a young team. The Two King Brothers says, I feel like the refs blew the game for the Jets. That's not true. There's no way whatever the refs did was not going to create another, how much did we lose by? 30 points, 28 points. That wasn't going to happen. But I will say this. The Jets definitely felt like they got shafted on a few late hits on the quarterback that were not called. I would say it's certainly not helping. I've always said the easiest way to end offensive holding, the NFL forces all offensive linemen to wear boxing gloves. You're not supposed to grab the guy in front of you anyway. Block with oven mitts. Block with boxing gloves. Eliminate that penalty from the game entirely. And you save all us a bunch of time. Lions, Steelers tie. Is that how it wound up finishing? All in? Now I got to look at it. I know it's a tie right now. I don't know where they're at. Let me know. Joe S. says Salah looks lost. I mean, so when Shanahan got to San Francisco, I want to say they were like atrocious for 2 years. And they wound up getting Nick Bosa and getting the quarterback in Jimmy Garoppolo. Once you hit on the quarterback and you have the pieces, it all starts clicking. And I know it's not what Jet fans want to see. You don't want to say, hey, we're still rebuilding, because we've been rebuilding for what feels like 15 years, like a really long time. Yeah, he looks lost, but I think it's more we don't have any talent, and I think that's just sort of where we're at right now. We just gotta add talent. We're missing some pieces, and then we're also comparing ourselves against one of the best teams in the league. So Kyle does say Detroit is 0-8-1. Not a loss, right? We're going to wind up not getting the first pick because Detroit has a tie. Who knows? I'm still rooting for wins here. I'm not looking for losses. I would like to see us win some games. Ryan Garcia says, number 1 overall pick, Mike White, was effing awesome today. That was Mike effing White was what we've been beating our drum the last like 2 weeks. I should have been the number 1 overall pick. And hey, look, you want to see confidence from all your players. I want every one of my players on this team to feel like they should have been the number 1 overall pick. obviously it's not going to play out that way. Ralph says Jets tackle too soft, no intimidation. We need to strike fear in the hearts of teams. You need to be able to score some points here. And when you're putting yourselves in bad downs and distances, it's not good. Not good. John Nolte says Mike White, the punter. Yeah, some of that long interception that Tre'Davious White had was a punt. that was not good. Except it was on first down, right? Like, Mike White, big reason why we lost this game. But look, our defense is bad. Bruce says maybe a confidence booster for Zach Wilson. Yeah, we were talking about that earlier in the stream. I think one of the biggest winners from this game was actually Zach Wilson. And not because Zach wants to see Mike White play poorly or anything like that. I think watching how the team has reacted to Mike White, even like when Mike White got hit and McGovern comes over and he's starting pushing guys, like that didn't happen for Zach. Like there's something there that's like doesn't sit quite right with me just yet. But White having this kind of performance, I think, makes it much easier for the coaching staff to switch to Wilson as opposed to like Wilson getting healthy and White having like a 250, 300-yard day, and then you're not quite sure what's going on, and it creates a little bit of a divide. I don't know, boys and girls. What else we got going on? Juan says we need to see this season as the low limit. From here, we must improve with the draft picks and a faster defense. Yeah, look, there's probably something to be said that our draft and free agent class from last year was supposed to be more geared towards an Adam Gase-led offense. I do think Pirine, I think Mims, and I think Morgan were all players that were kind of more in tune with that. Now you would hope Mims, being a 4-3 speed kind of guy, would be able to adjust and play in any system. That hasn't been the case so far. But yeah, look, we need to improve. We've spent a lot of money on offense the last few years. We still have to fix some pieces. Got to get a tight end. Got to get a center and a right tackle. But the defense severely needs help. We cannot have teams scoring 40 points consistently on us. I don't know what the scores were the last few weeks, but it's 175 points over the course of the last 4 weeks. Not going to win many games like that. Scott Bauer says, trade Mike White. I think that should have been done just before the trade deadline if you wanted to do that. And look, Mike White, I have no problems with Mike White. If this is what we get from our backup quarterback, I am okay with that. A backup quarterback that can hang 400 yards and at least keep you competitive in reasonable games is okay. He just went against the best defense in the league. And look, this defense had a lot of tape on him now at this point. They know he likes the checkdowns. He has to be able to throw the ball down the field, and he just really hasn't shown that he can do that. He had a few longer passes today. I think they said the stat at one point during the game was like, before this game, entering the game, I think he had like 81 passes and like 80 of them were within 15 yards of the line of scrimmage. And if you're not going to force the defense to play deeper, they're not going to give you any respect. So that 400-yard game was a little bit of a sham when all those passes were within like 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. So I think it was a little bit of fool's gold. A lot of people looking at the box score. But trade Mike White, I don't think so. I think right now you're trying to figure out what you do with him. And I think if you have a backup quarterback, if Mike White winds up being the guy, maybe you throw the second-round tender on him. I don't think anyone's given up a second-round pick for Mike White. And if they do, then it just kind of helps us, I guess. I think, I don't know. We have the rest of the season, right? Got Miami next week. Got the Texans after that. There's going to be some games for the Jets to possibly win a little bit. V-Man drops in with a super chat. Thank you, dude. He says, defense lacks talent. Needs to be a priority this offseason. Wilson needs to start next week. He needs to get reps and the experience. We have to be patient. I'm fine with Wilson starting next week. I sort of thought they'd start him against the Texans in 2 weeks purely because, division rival, was a little shaky before the injury, and then, maybe give him a little bit of time. I would probably err on starting Flacco next week. Maybe depending on how severely White was hurt at the end of this game, um, maybe it gives you a little bit more knowledge, or maybe it allows Wilson to see how a veteran prepares for a week, as opposed to like Mike White, who's still new himself. Um, I don't know. We need patience for sure. And as New York fans, it sucks being preached patience. But look, Robert Saleh is not to blame for the last 60 years of our existence. it's an incompetent ownership. It's bad drafting. Now, I do think we have the right GM. I do think Douglas is the right guy for this, and I'll still continue to have that confidence. It won't be blind confidence because I'm understanding like being a little more critical, but I do think that we have the right guy, and hopefully we just have the right coaching staff and the right quarterback. Ryan is wearing invisible rose-colored glasses. Look, what do you want me to do? You want me to be doom and gloom? I'm not going to bitch and moan. We went against the Bills. It was such a look. We weren't winning this game. I would have liked to have seen it stay competitive, but yes, I do have my rose-colored glasses on. Oreo says it best right here. He says Mike White is game manager. I'm tired of game managers. Pennington, Sanchez, Gino. I think Zach Wilson is not a game manager. So not that you brought up Zach Wilson, but I think that's the allure of Zach Wilson. Even when Mike White was playing well, you clearly saw he was a game manager. And that's what you want from a backup quarterback, right? You want the rest of the team to be able to make enough plays to help you win a game. You don't want to rely on your backup quarterback. Not too heavily, at least. Zach Wilson, with the arm strength, the talent he has, there's a reason he went number 2 overall. And I do think the Jets, as he develops, you'll start to see that. And it might not be this year. You might see it more next year. I would like to get like some glimpses of it this year where he can play within the system. And I think getting him back on the field after seeing Mike White play and Joe Flacco play, I think there's opportunities to see, hey, take what the defense gives you and then make the wow plays down the field. Because defenses have to respect Wilson's arm. They just don't have they don't have to respect his short game right now, right? Like he hasn't been doing that well. Let's see. What do we got in the chat here? Oreo says, no reason for this team not to be competitive. I don't know. The reason would be because we're so young. That would be really what it is. I think we should be able to put up some points, but that is a legit Bills defense. That secondary has played together for 4 years. It's gonna be hard to throw anything against them. Sean says, I'm only going to get concerned if we are not competitive in the second half of the season since we play bad teams. Well, here's what's going to get me really fired up. And it's going to be if we go on a little bit of a run, kind of like we did at the end of the 2019 season, I think it was, when we beat the Bills and the Steelers with all backups in. I don't want to go against that because there's a real good shot with the Jets facing the Bucks and the Bills the last 2 weeks of the season. I think those are our last 2 games. I got to look at it. I'm pretty sure those are the last 2 games. And we might wind up getting some wins that don't really mean a whole heck of a lot. I would like to see competitiveness, like fire. Let me see some guys getting up and yelling, some guys making some big plays. Michael Carter, if we could have 53 Michael Carters playing, and you could use either one of those for the example, Michael Carter 1 or 2, those guys have been playing phenomenal. Let's see. Spin Max says, Robert Saleh says the Buffalo defense is cool. Imagine Rex Ryan saying that. Not. What's wrong with Saleh? Thank you, Buffalo. Can you beat us some more? WTF. Did Robert Saleh said the Buffalo defense is cool? I didn't catch that. I didn't watch his post game. Buffalo Bills defense is good. They got 5 turnovers on us? Is that what we wound up with? Was it 5 turnovers? 1 fumble lost, 4 picks, right? Yeah, it's not good, right? That's clearly on the young quarterback in Mike White, and it's on that defense as a whole. They caused us fits all day. But yeah, don't want your head coach, if he did say that. That's not a good look. Oreo, if we lose to the Texans, I'll crash my car. Don't do that. We like you too much, Oreo. Griffith did nothing. W. I put an R in the end of that. Did nothing wrong. LaFleur conned everyone the last 2 weeks. I don't think so. I really don't. I think if White doesn't throw 4 interceptions, I mean, you're probably, what are the Jets? Jets wound up with 17 points. You think the fumble by Davis wasn't LaFleur's fault. That would have been another 3. So you're at least 20 to 45. And then you got to think the Jets could have scored something on the 4 interceptions. There could have been some type of, of points scored there. So I don't know. I like what LaFleur's been doing. There's a few maybe head scratchers. There was like a sweep at one point that I didn't love. I don't know. We'll see. Tossed salad, says Bib. I have my fantasy football team names this year are almost all exclusively toss my salad. Not great. Scott with the super chat. Thank you, Scott. He says, let's face it, the Bills are a potential Super Bowl team. We are not there yet. Maybe in 2 years. Yeah. What the hell were you guys expecting? Come on. Scott's got it right. Super Bowl potential team in the Bills. We all thought that before the season. Could easily be a Super Bowl team. The Jets owned the second pick in the draft last year. Like, what are you? Rome wasn't built in a day. Come on, guys. Keep your heads up. This was a team we expected to see ups and downs from. Now, hopefully getting some more competitive play once we play teams that are a little bit more on par with us. But yeah, Scott's got it right. Thank you, Scott. No pain, no gain, says Ryan. My friend, you must be heavily sedated right now because I'm throwing things right now. I'm so mad. Why are you letting them get mad? What? You can't get mad at this, right? Like, it sucks. Our team sucks. Our talent sucks. Like, it is what it is. There's no way to go about it, right? Like, you're facing a Super Bowl caliber team with our roster. And it's a defense that's missing safety 1, safety 2, cornerback 2, edge 1, edge. I don't know if Curry would be edge 2, but you're losing 2 edges. Look, we're fighting with 2 arms tied behind our backs. Not good. Not good. Don't let this team make you throw shit in your room. It's not worth your time. Not worth breaking stuff. David says, 50 years of failure. Keep your heads up. Keep your heads up. Stop it. Get real. What do you want to say? You got to keep your chin up. This is a young team. It's a bad roster going against one of the best teams in the league. Sorry. It is what it is. Not good. Baseball's Future says, I think Sal needs to take over the defense and let's see how they perform in off season. Definitely need some veterans in the secondary. Yeah, I don't know who's going to be out there in free agency, but the Jets got to add some vets there. I would like us to bring back LaMarcus Joyner, depending on how bad his injury is and if he's able to continue with what they thought was going to be a really good bounce back year for him. He's someone I'd like back. I do think that I would like to see Salah start calling some plays, but I think the issue with me is I would rather see Ulbrich figure it out, because if we start having Salah calling plays for a terrible defense right now, and then his one thing, they can't get it right, and I don't know if it's more of an issue with just the talent, or if maybe just Salah's not a good defensive coach, which doesn't seem to be the case from his previous history. But yeah, look, it might have to happen at some point. If Ulbrich keeps letting up this many points from that defense, it's not good. Not good. Definitely not good. Pseudo Spike says, same old Jets. Griffith says, excuses. Every year, same product. There's one common denominator, right? The Johnson family has owned this team for quite some time, and we keep getting not the best football decisions year in and year out. I think Douglas is the right guy for the job. Is this coaching staff? I would like to believe so. I think our offense definitely looks better than it's looked in a long time. Aside from maybe 2015, outside 2015, probably the best offense we've had or at least offensive play calling we've had since like the 2010 year when we were actually like had some talent on this team. Ed Stewart says, yeah, you'll see more deep balls with Flacco. I think so. Flacco's got a strong arm. I would like to see him start next week and just kind of give Wilson that extra week. Maybe don't bring him back against a division rival in a game that like the Dolphins are going to have 10 days to prepare for us, right? Like they played Thursday night and they played lights out. That defense came to play against Lamar Jackson, and that defense may wind up costing me my fantasy game this week. I'm going to be really upset because I have Lamar Jackson as my quarterback. So don't love that. Let's see what else you guys talking about over here. Why is Quincy Williams not in the lineup? Quincy Williams was out there. He just wasn't very good. Joe S says Mike White had his moment and now it's over. Dude had 405 passing yards his first start. There was no way he was going to keep that up, especially like the types of passes he was having. That he relied heavily on Jamison Crowder, Elijah Moore, Ty Johnson, Michael Carter, which I still think we should rely on those guys. But this was very much a flash in the pan from Mike White. And it was fun, right? Like I'm always going to root for Jet players, regardless of who it is. Like Mike White's our starting quarterback. I'm going to root like hell for him. Zach Wilson's our starting quarterback. Joe Flacco's our starting quarterback. Josh Johnson's our starting quarterback. I'm going to root like hell for him. I want to see him do well. But yeah, I feel a little bad for Mike White. But he got that nice little, what was it, a 4-day stretch there. Let's see what else. Joe says, I would hesitate signing Quinnen Williams. I don't think you need to sign him this offseason. I think you just let it ride, see how the rest of the year plays out. He was in on a sack this time. How many sacks did we have? Did we have 3? Is that what it was? So he had 2 sacks. So I don't know if he was credited with half a sack or if he was not credited at all and it wound up going to Lawson. But I do think Quinnen is part of the solution. I don't think he's part of the issue. But I think maybe you just err on the side of like, hey, we're not going to re-sign you yet. Or we're like, hey, we'll offer you an extension, but it's going to be at a lower amount given the production so far. And I do think he's going to be good because I think he's still on pace for 10 sacks. At least before the game he was. Finn McCory says, what were your thoughts on the refs? The refs as a whole across the NFL have been really, really bad this year. The Jets don't really get the benefit of a lot of calls. And I think some of that is a bias that you don't necessarily, like an unconscious bias, right? Like Mike White's not a flashy quarterback. He's not a big name quarterback. Tom Brady gets hit either one of those times today, and he probably winds up going and getting a flag. So I think there's certain biases in it for sure. But look, the Jets are causing penalties. The Jets are shooting themselves in the foot. We gave the Bills basically an extra 70 yards of offense because we had 9 penalties today. And some of those being a delay of game on a 4th and 1. Like, how do you have that? How do you not call a timeout on 4th and 1? Like, you're clearly trying to go for it, and you just butcher that. Not good. Not good. Let's see. Not even Tom Brady could save the Jets. Nah, look, we're bad. We are. What else you guys talking about? Bibb says Green Bean wanted to tender $6 million for White. I don't know if Green Bean necessarily wanted to tender him $6 million for White, but I think he would have been fine doing it. I would be fine doing it. It was, I think, the first round tender is $5.6 million or $5.2 million maybe. And if White plays well, like 250, 300 yards a game, why not? $6 million for a backup quarterback's not crazy, especially when you have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. That being said, due to this game, second round tender. Could be original round tender. Who knows? Like if you think Mike White's ceiling has been hit and he's never ever going to live up to it, and this is what we're going to get from him week in and week out, then you don't tender him or you hit him with the original round tender. But yeah, I don't think anyone's putting a first round tender on Mike White after today's showing. But it's going to be a whole cumulative thing overall. Oreo says not having a prime Revis, Ray Lewis, and Ed Reed on defense would save this team with Brady at quarterback. We are a cursed franchise. Feels like it. Definitely feels like it. Gitmo says Mike White threw for 405 yards, then threw 4 interceptions. Which is the real Mike White? I would say closer to the latter. Look, it's going to be somewhere in between, right? Like, you're not going to expect this guy to come out and throw for 400 yards each week. And you would hope you wouldn't get 4 interceptions each week. You're not going to face the number 1 defense every single week. But I think it's somewhere in between. I would say I would pencil in Mike White for an interception every single game that he plays, just like I would sort of consider Zach Wilson or any other starting quarterback for us to probably have the same. We haven't really had a really good, accurate, consistent, non-turnover worthy quarterback in a while. I don't know. Young quarterbacks. Chi-Chi says, JETS, just end the season. Another pathetic performance. We're bad. Just end the suffering. I got to put the shirt back up on the on the website. Just end the suffering, my friends. Not fun. And I can tell you this. Sitting down watching the entire game and then commiserating with you guys is the best part of my day. The best part of my day is being able to know I'm not alone out there. But I'll say this. It is not a lot of fun for a YouTube channel that you're trying to grow. And when the Jets are not giving you any help, it's not the most fun. Joey Camp, how far away do you think the Jets are from competing with Buffalo in the AFC East? At least 30 points or whatever we look, 28 points. Look, I think next year we should be competitive with the majority of teams in the league. We're still going to be a young team, so there's going to be issues. I would say 2 years would be a hopeful thing. Once Josh Allen's contract really kicks in for the Bills, the Jets have a little bit more time. If Zach Wilson is the quarterback, that will solve a lot of issues. And I think when you don't turn the ball over, right? Like, we are leading the league in turnover margin, or reverse turnover margin, and the Bills are leading the league in the opposite turnover margin. So they have the best amount of turnovers. We have the worst amount of turnovers. Finn says, Ryan's remember that we just played the AFC favorite is something I needed to hear. That's it. Like that's what you need to see. The Bills, the Titans, and the Ravens. Those are like the 3 premier teams, and the Chargers. I would say those are the 4 teams. Oh, and the Chiefs. Chiefs aren't playing great right now, but you know what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of really good teams. And the Jets beat the Titans. They were without their 2 wide receivers, and a few offensive linemen got hurt during that game, but the Jets did it. So positive things. We're gonna see some positives here over the course of the season. We're gonna see a lot of negatives, but that's just what happens with a young team. Get over it, boys and girls. Edward says, any other team that leaks 40 points or more would do something about it. Why are we not changing something? Sick of this shit. Edward, what do you want to see happen? That's where we're at right now, right? Like, we're past the trade deadline, and it would be ill-advised for the Jets to trade any assets for a team that we know is not making the playoffs. It's just not in the cards. So you don't give up assets that could help you in the future. Defensively, we've been battered by injuries. Lawson, Curry, Joyner, May, Eccles goes out. Jared Davis only just came back like 3 weeks ago, and he doesn't look like he's anything good anyway. Sherwood's out for the year. Nasir El-Din's out. Mosley, first time back in 2 years for the season, and he's played so far. More often than not, I feel like I've enjoyed this. But I don't know. Edward wants to know, where am I with Salah at the moment? I have a hard time grading this coaching staff on the talent of the team. I shouldn't say talent, because they're part of the whole process with the talent, right? I think Robert Saleh looks like he inherited the second worst team in the league this year. And I think there are definitely games where we're going to get blown out because we're so young. And I think there's going to be games that I think we're going to win more games than we won last year. I think we are a more talented team than we were last year. I think the offense is trending in the right direction. And I think we need to focus some assets on defense to kind of round out our balance. Because like the last few years where we've spent our money on defense, Tremaine Johnson, gone, Jamal Adams, high first round pick, traded, which, good. I'm still happy with that trade. But we gave away and don't have many assets on the defensive side right now, especially with injuries and everything. And look, I'm all for. I'm not for 2 years of a head coach and canning him, unless you're Adam Gase, because that felt like a bad hire from the very get go. I do think the Robert Saleh hire will wind up being a good thing in the long run, and I would like to give him 3 years. I would give LaFleur 2. And then you try to maybe fix it the last year of a 3-year thing with maybe a new offensive coordinator, and you hope you get it right with Zach Wilson, and before you pull the plug on anything. And then at that point, I think that's when Douglas goes. I think Douglas and Saleh are tied at the hip. Brandon says, Ryan, do you think Wilson will start next week? I'm going to say no. I think Flacco starts. I don't know how bad Wilson got hurt. I would like to see, or sorry, not Wilson. I don't know how bad White got hurt at the end there. But I would like to see Zach start against the Texans on the road. I think he does need some confidence building, and I think having a good game against a bad team like the Texans will at least kind of help the confidence, kind of help restore some of the morale. Now, him having a good game against the Dolphins, that would mean a whole heck of a lot more. So if he is 100%, play Wilson. No problem playing Wilson if he's 100%. If he's not 100%, like I would rather baby this injury than like just be like, hey, our quarterback situation sucks. Like get back out there. Like that seems like the wrong thing to do. Nick says we have too many injuries week in and week out. Can't use, we are so young as the excuse. I mean, we can. We are the youngest team in the league by like 300 snaps. Like we have too many injuries and we are the youngest team. Like it is what it is. And that's a fact. So I don't know. You want to see something get better, but when you play a team like this, it's not ideal. Sean says you can't be competitive when you turn the ball over that much. 5 turnovers in a game, not going to win you many games. Not going to make you competitive in many games. We were lucky it was as close as it was. We had, so that we were at -3 today in the turnover margin. And it like, that's what it looks like, right? Like, a good team, -3 in the turnover ratio. Not good. Not good. Jets should have moved to the west side. They should have. Dolan ruined that for us. Joey hitting the nail on the head. I went on Green Bean's channel for the Jet Nation halftime show, and I brought up this exact point. Why was Guidry covering Diggs and not Hall? I don't know why Hall stays on the left side of the defense. It feels like they're not adjusting your best secondary piece to the other team's best offensive piece. And I'm not saying you have to like shadow him the entire time. Like you can play zone, you can switch things up, but I think from an offensive perspective, if I'm watching my best wide receiver on the third string corner, that would appear to be a mismatch before I see any coverage that you're in, right? Like that's it just, for me, it just seems like I'm scratching my head. Like it makes no sense why they would do that. No sense. Joe says absolutely no adjustments by this coaching staff. Defensively, I think is where I'd say I have more of the issue, especially the last 4 weeks when everything's been going on. Just banging my head against the wall. Now, maybe the solution is, hey, look, we're getting rid of Ulbrich and Saleh is just going to focus on the defensive side of the ball. When you bring in a defensive guy, you'd ideally want his influence on the defense, and it just doesn't feel like we've really gotten that. I want like a mean, nasty defense, and we haven't gotten that. Haven't gotten it. D-Rock says, Jets get blown out week in and week out. I'm so sick of this being a Jets fan for 30 years. So sick of this. Our coaches seem lost every damn week. Yeah. Look, I'm sick of it too. And look, you and I, as fans for the last 30 years, we've seen the best of Jets football. Kind of. Aside from like Super Bowl. But like in terms of like microcosm of like the entirety of the Jets lifespan, we've probably seen the most successful run of football until the last few years. It's not good. I want some competency. The 100 Club. We've played 9 games. 8 of the games were against teams who are currently 500 or better. The other team was Atlanta, who are 4-5. We've been really bad, but I want to see how we are against Miami and Jacksonville. This is a great point, right? Like, know how you're judging yourself. And it's almost like how you would judge, say, an attractive person coming into a room, right? Like, an attractive person comes into a room, you're like, oh, on a scale from 1 to 10, what do you think? You're giving them a number. Are you basing that person on the quality of the other people in the room or against like supermodels and like, studs? Like there's always a scale, right? And I don't think comparing the Jets to a team like the Bills or the Titans or the Chiefs or something like that is necessarily fair for a coaching staff that doesn't have the talent just yet. One, from their own respect, because they're all rookies across the board there, and from a player perspective, because we are the youngest team. But I think comparing us to teams like a Miami, like a Jacksonville, like a Texans, teams that were sitting around the same draft pick as we were. Let's go top 12 and below. If you can compare the Jets to those types of teams, then I think you're all right. I think that's a relatively reasonable way to look at the Jets and kind of compare them and see where they get. And then the following year, if you played on the better end of that spectrum, then you kind of change that spectrum a little bit more and you go a little bit more and a little bit more, and then you eventually have a good team, hopefully. Raw, it's like I'm listening to a bunch of whiny bitches. Time to bring back a shot drinking flat. I have no idea what that is. Time to bring back a shot drinking flat do. Sorry, don't know what that means. I was drinking a little bit through this game. A little bit. Have to. When you're a Jets fan, you can't watch this shit sober. GSD Mickey says the Bills are a far superior team, one of the best at the moment. What did you guys expect? This is a young team, new coach, front office. It's about as new. Also, come on, that's where it is, right? We're young, we're injured, we're learning. That's I can't really go much further. I guess this is going to be a really lame post game. I guess we're sitting at an hour. I guess I'll end it at an hour, right? 53 minutes roughly. Edward says, imagine what Green Bean and O'Leary is thinking after this defeat. Well, I was with them at the halftime show. We were talking at the halftime show on Green Bean's channel, and all three of us were just like, yeah, we just hope it's competitive in the second half. Because the first half was like, wasn't that bad, right? 17-3, like reasonable. The Jets could have potentially had some more points if Corey Davis doesn't fumble that ball. And you were hoping it would be more competitive. Matt actually ended that halftime show saying, I think this could get ugly for the Jets in the second half. And I just said, I hope it was competitive. Green Bean was like, oh, it'll be 28 to, I don't know, whatever it was, 28 to something with the Jets winning. And I was like, Green Bean, I love you, but you're out of your mind. Out of your mind. Tell Xerxes from 300 to get his players motivated. Xerxes, I've heard people call Salah that, and I never really it hasn't clicked for me, but it does make sense. If he had a bunch of piercings like from there to his ear, he would look just like it. Let's see. This is a long one. D-Rock says, Ryan, give me your deep, honest opinion. Do you think this is acceptable? Truly, do you? What do you think we really need to do? I got my own thoughts, but yours, I want to know. What the fuck do we do? Okay, honest opinion. I would say this is unacceptable. We do not want to be getting blown out by this much week in and week out. And I don't want it to seem like I think that is reasonable, but I do think we were the second overall pick last year. for a reason. I think we are a bad team. I think this is a young coaching staff. So my level of expectation this year compared to, you know, I don't even want to say other years, but like the last few years, we've been a bad team and I've expected us to be a bad team. Um, so it's not acceptable. My thoughts for next year, year two, will be elevated from this year. I do think we're going to at least double our win total from last year, which I think is all you could really ask from a team right now that's as young as we are. What do I think we need to do? I think we need to draft some defense. We have to get some youth there. I think we have to get some veterans. We're going to have like $55 million in cap space next year before cuts, and we're going to need to overhaul a lot. And I don't think we're going to get it all in this one offseason either. I think we'll need some complementary pieces in 2023 as well. Edge rusher, tight end, guard, center, right tackle, and then like linebackers, corner. Like we got a lot of issues on the defensive side of the ball. We got to put some money into it. We spent a lot of our resources, prime resources, on the offensive side of the ball the last few years. So do I kind of think it's to be expected? I kind of do. Like, we want to be surprised by some things, but I'm looking for the young players to play good. Michael Carter, 1 and 2, both look good. I think Elijah Vera Tucker is going to be very good. He's had a rough last 2 weeks, I think. But I think he is going to be really good. Zach Wilson, obviously we all hope he's going to be really good. Elijah Moore looks like he's going to be legit, right? Like, he had that nice climbing catch. Like, I don't care if it's in garbage time. That's a hell of a catch, even, either way. I think he's a gamer. I think the tight ends have been hurting us because I do think a lot of this offense is predicated on running the ball and quick passes, and the tight end is a big body mismatch that you can take advantage of, and we just don't have those mismatches right now. So I don't know. I guess that's my thoughts on it. GVH says we need an edge. I get Lawson was that, but between Watt and Allen versus Buffalo, look at what a pass rush can do. Yeah, you're saying TJ Watt against the Steelers and Josh Allen on Jacksonville versus Buffalo. Yeah, we need an edge rusher. We need to prevent how long the quarterback can hold on to the ball. And that's really where I thought we were going. That was Lawson. That was Vinny Curry. Both are done for the year. And then you hope John Franklin Myers starts making some more noise. Sheldon Rankins, Quinnen Williams, all those guys. We have talent on the defensive line for sure, but we are missing the edge presence. And I think even though we've spent the money on John Franklin Myers, you get Carl Lawson back next year, I think you have to draft an edge high. Just load up. The faster we can come off the edge, the better I think we'll be with Quinnen. I think that's where Quinnen's value is really going to shine, is when we start getting pressure. And I think it's just a matter of just getting the pieces there. But I completely agree. The best things you could do are give your quarterback more time to throw the ball and prevent the opposing quarterback from having as much time to throw the ball. Air Firock says, journeyman backup quarterbacks are like fat chicks at a bar. They can only serve a purpose for a couple of hours because the pickings are slim, but no way you want them anywhere near your property full time. That's aggressive. That's a very aggressive comment. I would say there's a lid for every pot, right? But I will say this: journeyman backup quarterbacks are definitely they're backups for a reason. There's a reason why we don't have 32 really good quarterbacks in this league, and it's because we just there's not enough talent. It's a hard position. You look at, they showed the stat on the TV, something like just less than like 80% of Buffalo's overall yardage this year is from Josh Allen. Lamar Jackson is like 79.3. Matt Ryan, Tom Brady were both up there too. There was a third one too. I don't know who it was offhand, but getting a good quarterback is going to solve a lot of the issues. It's going to make everything look a lot better. So if we hit on Zach Wilson, everything else will start to fall into place and it'll get a lot better. But it's just kind of rough because you're looking at a backup quarterback going against a Super Bowl caliber team here. Jets Gang says, Bryce Hall looked good to me. Bryce Hall is good. He's just not playing the top wide receiver. Like, I want him on Diggs. I don't want him on, Cole Beasley or friggin' Emmanuel Sanders. Like, get him on someone that's like gonna impact the game, and someone like Diggs. What did Diggs end up finishing with? 8 receptions, 162 yards, and a touchdown. Come on, that's a joke. Ugh. Joey Camp says, if the Jets decide Mims isn't the right scheme fit, do you think they are hurting his potential trade value by not showcasing him very much this year? I don't think they're hurting his trade value because I don't think they're trying to trade him. I think they know the talent is there, and I think if they give him a full year in this offense, maybe he can kind of shine. His value to us is higher as a player on our team than what we would get back in a trade. Like, if you could get a second round pick for Mims, you would do it, right? Like, that's it. Just we haven't gotten the value out of him. But now he's got 2.5 years left on his contract. You just play it, figure it out, right? Like, next year, we're not going to have Keelan Cole, we're not going to have Jamison Crowder unless we bring them back. So Mims will get more opportunities potentially the rest of the way out. But even when we see him, he really hasn't played well. He dropped a lot of balls. He's not doing what you would want. And I'm disappointed, to say the least, because I was really excited for Denzel Mims, and I thought he was going to be someone that we could really, really be excited for as a fan base, and it just hasn't worked out that way. Carmelo says, bright spots, Michael Carter 1, Michael Carter 2, Hull, Echols Moore, AVT, Becton are all young. Yeah, that's great. Like, Echols, for me, I think is probably a depth piece. Like, if he could be the third string corner instead of Guidry. Guidry to me feels more like a slot guy, like have him back up Michael Carter too. But I think, like you're saying, those are all really young players, and I think we need to be excited for that at the very least. And then you just hope, you hit on Wilson. So SpinMax says, I rewatched Sal's press conference. He did say Buffalo defense is cool. Sorry, I prefer a coach who would be pissed at them crushing our offense. Now I have to go back and watch it because I can't comment on something I didn't see. But the quote, Buffalo defense is cool, is not great. I don't want to hear my coach say that. I want to see him get a little bit more upset. Oreo says, trade Mosley for a pick, bring in Michael Thomas, trade for George Kittle, then go O-line and defense in the draft and free agency. I could be all right with trading Mosley for a pick. I don't know what you're going to get for him with a $17 million price tag. It's probably not very high. I would say if you get a third or above, you do it. If you can't I would just say hold on to him for a little bit. You're going to have dead cap on your contract anyway. You can cut him and save some money, but I think with a team with as many holes as us, I don't think cutting Mosley or trading Mosley is that great unless you're getting a good thing back in return. Michael Thomas, I would love to get Michael Thomas. He's really good. I think he's one of the best receivers in the league when he's healthy. And there seems to be something going on down there in New Orleans. So I would like to see Michael Thomas. Is he out for the year now? Is that what I heard? I don't know what's going on injury-wise with him. But I would be open to it. I feel like that would have to be a first-round pick. And Jets are just not in a position to give up a first for him. Trade for George Kittle, that's not happening. They're not going to give up Kittle. Then go O-line and defense in the draft of free agency. Yeah, that's it, right? Like if you could get the tight end in free agency, then you fix the offensive line in draft. That's what I'm at. That's where I'm at. Anthony, this will be my last comment. Salah said a few weeks back he won't alter the defense. He also said he won't motivate guys. What exactly does Salah do then? Terrible clock management with that delay of game as well, in over his head. It's not that he won't motivate his guys. It's he shouldn't need to motivate his guys, right? Like you should be motivated because you're playing at the highest level. Now, I would like to see him motivate his guys. Like I want to see him get fired up. I like when you see the energy on the sidelines, but it feels like he's trying to prevent the Rex Ryan where you're too emotional all the time. Like if you stay stoic, then you can present a message and you can keep guys, even keeled, and you want to get them hyped up. I don't know. It's tough. The clock management thing is rough because you'd like to see him call a timeout and not get the penalty for the delay game. That was I was scratching my head. I'm watching White come out of the huddle, and it's like they're still in the huddle at like 17 seconds left on the clock. I'm like, this is not going to go well. And then when they throw the flag, I was just like, of course. It's exactly what happens. So is he in over his head? Look, he's a rookie head coach. Give him some time to figure it out. Belichick wasn't so great when he started, right? Like glass half full. I don't know. All right, boys and girls. I've spent an hour on this post game. That's more than enough time. You won't be getting any recap video other than this because I'm not wasting my time on this team for editing a video that is not going to go over well. All right, boys and girls. Look, keep your chin up. Let's hope for a bounce back game against the Dolphins next week. Fingers crossed we get a better performance than this. Guys, my name is Ryan. I've been your pilot. This is Jets Talk. Signing off.